Rather large, welcome back to Cossy's Arsenal podcast. My name is Cossy. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in all parts of the world. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to a brand new video. We are going to be talking Arsenal's next midfield for the next 10 years. We're talking Romeo Lavia, we're talking Declan Rice. We are also talking Thomas Partey's future at Arsenal as well. Romeo Lavia has given Arsenal a verbal agreement to go ahead and negotiate with Southampton, to go ahead and bid to sign him from Southampton. The player always wanted to move to a bigger club, and he sees Arsenal as a very good destination according to the Mirror. We're going to be diving into that story. We are also talking Arsenal winning the race for Declan Rice, as Manchester City are now waiting to see what will come out of negotiations between Arsenal and Manchester City. And Thomas Partey at the moment is evaluating offers from Saudi Arabia. He has 3 clubs interested. Al Khaleji is the one that is really pushing to sign him, but he has now 3 clubs to decide on. Hit the like button, subscribe to the podcast as well. And I want your thoughts here. For the next 10 years, Arsenal could have Kai Havertz, Declan Rice, and Romeo Lavia as our heartbeat in midfield. I'm not forgetting Martin Odegaard, of course. Odegaard is 24, Rice is 24, and Havertz is 24 as well. The younger one is Romeo Lavia. Do you think that midfield, that midfield trio would actually be a very good fit for Arsenal in the next 10 years? I don't think we'll be buying midfielders every single summer. It's not a department that Arsenal really invest a lot of money in, by the way. When we think about it, I think we've bought more defenders in the last few years than we've bought midfielders. We've bought more strikers and more forward players in the last few years than we brought in midfielders. So in the next 10 years, what are your thoughts on Lavia, Havertz, Rice, and Odegaard? Is it kind of, because again, we need to think about this in this perspective. Partey and Xhaka were never going to be here for the next 10 years. They were never going to be here for the next 5 years. The maximum amount of years that Partey is going to perform at the top level is maybe 3 more years. And Xhaka, I've always felt like his years at the top level were absolutely done. But let me know in the comment box below, do you think we have done the right decision? Because it is now looking more likely that Rice and Lavia are going to be the next 2 midfielders that Arsenal sign in this summer. Hit the like button, subscribe to the podcast as well, and have your thoughts in the comment box below. I really appreciate all the people hitting the like button, because we are smashing the like targets every single day. Now, according to the Arsenal Insider, they've been quoting the Mirror, and they're saying that Romeo Lavia has now verbally agreed to join Arsenal. He has given Arsenal the green light to sign him and go ahead and negotiate a deal with Southampton. It's a deal that's really going to be difficult, by the way, in terms of making sure that Southampton do not overhype the price. And I think Arsenal are now in a situation where Romeo Lavia is such a key component to our midfield this summer. I think, look, at the beginning of the summer, we were a little bit okay. We had options. You had Edson Alvarez at Ajax, was already on the move. You had players like Moises Caicedo at Brighton. But now, as you go into the final serious month of the summer, because I still feel August is not a big transfer summer month. In most of the cases, you have these players going out. You have these teams probably that have not done their business early. But for a club that wants to win the Premier League probably, or even compete in the UEFA Champions League, it is June and July. That is when you do your business. You've seen Madrid, you've seen Liverpool, and you're also seeing Arsenal, how we are trying to get our deals done in June. Now, the argument from Romeo Lavia does not surprise me. We have always thought that he would love to play for a club like Arsenal. Now, despite the fact that there is Chelsea, Man United, Liverpool, we've got to ask the question, how many clubs are really serious on Romeo Lavia? According to what I've heard and according to what I've seen, it has been Chelsea and it has been Arsenal. Man United are always thrown in there as a name in each and every deal. When you want Julian Timber, Man United's name is thrown into that. When you want Declan Rice, Manchester United's name is thrown into the conversation. And of course, you understand, Man United is a team that are in their rebuild phase. I think they're in the second year of their rebuild phase, right, under Erik ten Hag. So they will want the top targets, and they will be linked with the top targets. But I think Ten Hag is such a quality and very, very intelligent manager and man that he won't just go, these are my targets. So, you come and drive me. I really expect Manchester United to do a lot of work and a lot of deals discreetly, just like Arsenal have been doing in the last few years. So, Romeo Lavia agreeing to join Arsenal. This actually does not surprise me. He's playing for a team in the UEFA, in the Championship. He would love to get that jump from the Championship, from relegation to the UEFA Champions League. It's a no-brainer, and I think he has already agreed to join Chelsea as well. So that shows you that the player is already making moves for his life away from the Championship. Now, I think Chelsea will sign Moises Caicedo. I'm going to nail this one. Chelsea will sign Moises Caicedo. Whether we get Rice or not, we will rival them, but they will get Moises Caicedo. They're the more likely destination for Moises Caicedo. I think they will give him more money, and they are prepared to pay around 90 million for his services. Okay, so I think they will get Moises Caicedo, and when they do, it will be between Liverpool and Arsenal and Man United on who gets Romeo Lavia. With Manchester United's demand more of on the striking line, they're losing Marshall, they're also losing Vegas, who won't sign on a permanent. So they will try to spend much of their money on a striker. I don't see them go spending 40 million or 50 million on Romeo Lavia while they still have Casemiro. He still has the legs. He still has the power, the energy to run that midfield. I don't see them go extravagant on a player like Romeo Lavia at the moment. And Arsenal, it's the same situation. We are only here because Thomas Partey is leaving. If Partey was staying, it would have been more likely that Partey stays and Lavia does not sign. So, according to a hearing, Arsenal have the agreement on players' side. We also have that endorsement. We also have that backing from the agent of the player, who is also Saka's agent as well. Now, Rice, just a little bit before we get into the discussion of the next decade and why and whether this midfield that we're building is actually worth it. Manchester City will wait until Arsenal agree or fail to agree a deal with West Ham. The players told them his preference is at Arsenal. I think Mikel Arteta really got to Declan Rice. It has been 6 months of phone calls, of building a friendship, of building a rapport with Declan Rice, and I'm really not surprised that Arsenal and Manchester City are actually interested in the same players. We're literally doing a cut and copy of what Manchester City are doing. Whether that will actually, hinder our chances of succeeding under Mikel Arteta with Pep Guardiola still in the Premier League, that is a big question. But the reason as to why I brought up our discussion for the next 10 years is I think Pep Guardiola has around 3 years left in the Premier League. So can we dominate football? Can we dominate the Premier League when Pep Guardiola eventually leaves, right? Does Kai Havertz, does Declan Rice and Romeo Lavia, do they give us that assurance that we will dominate the Premier League when Pep eventually leaves and Manchester City are left in the middle of the sea? That's the big question. So with Declan Rice, it is also likely, and it is becoming more and more likely, that it will be an Arsenal player. Arsenal will go in with a third bid. I don't expect that one to be coming in tomorrow. I think it's closure of business, so it might be Monday or Tuesday that Arsenal go in with that final bid, and it is likely that we will be accepted. So the two midfield signings that are on the verge of joining Arsenal at the moment, I can confirm, are Romeo Lavia and Declan Rice. So let's get into the conversation. Are they the ultimate pair that can see Arsenal dominate the Premier League for the next 10 years? Now, when Pep had just come in, he signed the following players. He signed Ilkay Gundogan, one of the best signings he's ever made in his in his career, in my opinion. He signed John Stones. I think Stones has been very crucial to them winning this season, to them winning the treble this season. What a player. I think, you've got to agree. What a player. And I think in his first seasons, he also brought in Kevin De Bruyne. He brought in Leroy Sané as well among his first signings. And you look at what he's done there and what Mikel Arteta has done with Arsenal, Odegaard, Ben White. Ben White is more like the John Stones kind of player. Aaron Ramsdale, Declan Rice. It's more like we are copying from the script of Pep Guardiola, okay? But I think Pep, no one can now disagree with Pep that John Stones was a long-term project that was going to win him the treble. Ilkay Gundogan was a long-term project that was going to win him the treble, and they've eventually won him the treble. So Romeo Lavia is not a bad player, especially if Arsenal are going to sign Declan Rice. Because one, like I said, we needed a midfield revamp. We needed a midfield rebuild. And I didn't expect that it was going to be at once. I didn't expect Partey out, Xhaka out, Elneny out, Ainsley Maitland-Niles out. Like, it is not a rebuild. It's a clear out. We are having an exodus in midfield. But how many years at the top level was Xhaka going to give us at Arsenal? In my opinion, none. I think Xhaka stopped playing football at a top level. That was 2019. I think that was 2019. All the seasons that I've actually followed, he's had very, very good seasons under Mikel Arteta, and he's one of the most improved players under Mikel. But you do not compare him to any players in the top six. You don't even compare him to any players among the European giants. I don't think Xhaka starts for Bayern. I don't think Xhaka starts for Barca, where they have Pedri. I don't think he beats Toni Kroos at Real Madrid. I don't think he beats Barella at Inter. He doesn't beat Sandro Tonali, previously of AC Milan. He doesn't beat Sandro Tonali, actually, now of Newcastle. For me, he does not beat McAllister at Liverpool. He does not beat Kevin De Bruyne or Ilkay Gundogan at Manchester City, previously of Manchester City, now at FC Barcelona. So for me, you needed that jump. We needed that jump, right? And it was a time bomb. You literally needed that to come in. So I agree. Thomas Partey, how many more years can he perform at the top level? With Partey, I'm very biased because I like him as a player very, very much. But then I've got to agree, Partey has something like 2 more years at the top level. He's 30. He's just turned 30. So next June, he will be 31. And the June after that, he will be 32. I don't expect him, with the injuries he's already starting to pick up, I don't expect him to be the midfield dynamite any serious European team will depend on in 2026 or 2025. But 2024, 2025, you can depend on him. But after that, it's over. The party is over. So I understand why he's gone with Declan Rice and why he has gone with Kai Havertz. Because Kai Havertz, if you factor into the fact that he's young and he's literally played as an attacking midfielder all his life, you understand the upgrade on Xhaka. I also understand the replacement of Partey in Decaz, because Decaz is a CDM. He offers more going forward. And that means that you don't have a redundant defensive midfielder like Thomas Partey. You have actually a more active defensive midfielder like Rodri in Declan Rice. But in the next 10 years, are we secure? Are we sorted for the next 10 years? Well, it's a difficult one because the two, Lavia and Havertz, are a gamble. I'm telling you this, Rice will be a success at Arsenal. There is no question about that. Declan Rice will be a huge success at Arsenal. Wherever he goes, whether City or Arsenal, I think now he will go to Arsenal. And he will be a huge success. But Romeo Lavia is a gamble. And Kai Havertz is a gamble. And why I think Kai Havertz is a gamble is we have nostalgically replicated what we did with Martin Odegaard. It's a path, it's a road that we have, trodden, and we've decided we will travel that path again. It's a gamble because it's 65 million. That player, all that amount of money, it's not easy to go, okay, we'll just bin him and bring in someone new. It is a gamble because it's going to earn a lot of money, right? That is among the most paid players at Arsenal. It is also a gamble because he's still very, very young. And, if he was 29, you would have signed him on a shorter contract And, if it doesn't work out, you let him go in the next season. But he signed a long-term contract at Arsenal, and he's such a young player that he might be another Granit Xhaka. With Xhaka, when he came in, didn't do very well for the first season. We waited for the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth, until everybody had gone, wait a minute, is Xhaka going to be the player that Arsenal hoped he was going to become, right? And I'm not even talking about Xhaka in his new role or his old role. I think generally, I look at the central midfielders that clubs have had across Europe, Bayern, even Dortmund, in Julian Brandt and Jude Bellingham, over the years, and Mahmoud Daoud and Ilkay Gundogan during that time, that we were playing Xhaka there. They've had better central midfielders, than Arsenal, all right? So the two are a gamble. If the gambles work out, Arsenal are sorted for the next 10 years in midfield. I can assure you that. But if the gambles don't work out, we are absolutely screwed, because we have spent 200 million on Lavia, Rice, and Kai Havertz. Kai Havertz is a 65 million pound signing. Lavia, I suspect, is going to be around 45. That is 110. And then is that 110? That's I think that's 110, 120 million pounds. Then you have Rice, who might cost around 100 or 90 million. So we might spend 210 million on this midfield. And if a manager goes, I've spent 200 million on the midfield or on my defense, it means that he sees that as the next, he sees that, department sorted for the next 10 years. Or at least for the next 8 years. It's what Manchester City have had. They've had Rodri, Bruno, Ilkay Gundogan, Bernardo Silva, and Kevin De Bruyne. Those players have been at Manchester City for half a decade, right? Each of them has spent at Manchester City for half a decade, and they've not been signing new midfielders. Like, they did bring in Calvin Phillips when Fernandinho left. But they've not brought in any players like you see now that they're bringing in Kovacic, and they're trying to sign Declan Rice. So I think the quality is there to take us through the next 10 years, but the gambles have to work. That is my scare. The gambles really have to work, okay? Thomas Partey is evaluating his offers. I think we cannot bank on him anymore. I don't think you can now start praying, I wish Partey stays. I think we are past that stage, right? I think he's now evaluating his offers to see where he's going to pay less taxes, where he's going to have more women in bikinis. I don't think we can bank on him at the moment. I think his mind is turned. There are conspiracy reports that he's the one who wants to leave and Arsenal want him to stay. There are other conspiracy reports that Arsenal want him to leave and he wants to stay. But look, I'm not even interested in that. The fact that the player is thinking about going and Arsenal are open to letting him go, it shows you that he's not untouchable, right? So the next 10 years, are we sorted? Will the gambles work? Let me know in the comment box below.